Hey, good morning. Hey, you feel like standing up and getting your worship on one time? What do you say, huh? There's a place that I love to run and play. There's a place where I sing new songs of praise. Where I lose myself within. There's a place where I find myself again. I'm dancing with my Father God and feels the grace. Dancing with my Father God and feels the grace. There's a place where religion finally died. There's a place where I lose my selfish pride. I'm dancing with my Father God and feels the grace. Dancing with my Father God and feels the grace. I'm dancing with my Father God and feels the grace.
feel led. This is not going to be flawless, I'm sure. It's been a long time. And Dennis is playing drums and guitar. So I'll let him tell you how that came about. And we are going to be doing a mix of this one. The next one that we're going to do is something that we learned over the time that we were out, and we love it. And I hope you've been watching at least some of the online services or caught some of our videos, because it did give us an opportunity to learn a bunch of songs, didn't it, hon?
Yes, it did. Yeah, as you can tell, things are a little bit different today, especially than they were supposed to be, because Ralph was supposed to be here with us, Ralph Nichols, and his father passed away Friday, and he's in Cincinnati, so we had to regroup and come up with a plan B and tape up and play her, but that's okay. We're here, but keep the Nichols family in your prayers if you would, and we would very much appreciate that.
Promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that
you are. That is who 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 you are. Yes, that is who you are. Amen. You can be seated.
No, they are.
All right.
I said, what about us? Can we be seated?
Sherry, you're the only one who has to be seated. Sherry is the only one.
Should we be seated?
Should we be seated or are you going to be wild?
No, you told me I couldn't talk long.
You can talk as long as you want to.
You go for it. You go for it, dog. You go, dog.
Wait a minute, I think I heard a noise from the crowd.
I heard groans. That's not good.
Okay, look, I'm on.
You're good, yeah. Hey, I'm Tim. One of the pastors here. I think I know everybody here. Glad to have you. A couple people that I didn't meet, I met outside. Today, as you know, is a joyous day, but a sad day. That's kind of why we're doing this extended set, right? Where we're having 9 of the kind of the greatest hits worship service, I think, is what we talked about. So I hope that you all make sure that you take time after the service to really give them a lot of hugs and love because they deserve it. They've been worship leaders in here for 13 years. It's the end of an era. And I know there's anxiety about what's coming next, and we will talk about that later because today that's not the focus. So we are here to celebrate and worship with these two awesome worship directors. So how many of you actually knew Dennis played the drums better than he plays guitar? I was here for like 3 years, I think, before I knew that his primary instrument was the drums. And so I convinced them one time to get the drums out and do a recorded thing online. If you watch any of the online stuff, I thought, well, that guy can play. So,
I'm the guitar owner, Tim.
yeah. As we were talking about what we were going to do today for this kind of special time, we asked them, hey, what are your favorite passages? What are the ones that, as your last Sunday as worship leaders, what do you want to hear? And so they gave us 2 passages. So we're going to do one now. It's going to be short. We're going to do one after another 3-song set. And this one today is John 14, 1 through 7. So it's Jesus speaking with his disciples. Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. My Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, would I have told you that I am going there to prepare a place for you? And if I go to prepare a place for you, I will come back and I will take you to be with me, that you may be where I am. You know the way to the place where I am going. And Thomas is like, time out. You never told us anything about a way. Lord, we don't know where you're going, so how can we know the way? And the beautiful response, and the focus for today is, I am the way. I am the way, and the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you really know me, you will know my Father as well. From now on, you do know him and have seen him. We live in a relativistic, pluralistic culture, in case you didn't know, right? And there's a challenge with that. I think it comes most of the time from an honest place of wanting to be accepting, wanting to include, wanting to be inclusive, and wanting to find the best in everybody, and wanting to not necessarily draw lines in the sand or draw circles where they're out and we're in. I think oftentimes pluralism comes from a positive place. However, it has some unintended consequences, doesn't it? Where we aren't able to fully embrace the things that we do believe for fear of offending somebody else or kind of seeming that we are superior. And we Christians, in case you didn't know this, sometimes we have a superiority complex. And it kind of comes, hey Barry, go back. It kind of comes from that last passage there. No one comes to the Father except through me. That sounds like a very sort of like line in the sand, drawn a circle around me and my people, doesn't it? No one comes to the Father except through me. That's very anti-pluralism. very anti-relativism, right? So we have to learn how to deal with that in appropriate ways, that if we're going to stake a claim and say that this is the way it is, how do we do so in such a way that it still invites other people into the faith that we hold so dear? So we do indeed have this sort of exclusive claim to something, but we need to give it legs to understand exactly what it is that Jesus is saying here when he says, no one comes to the Father except to me. It's intellectually dishonest, and we're really good at this, in case you didn't know, at taking scripture quotes out of context. Everybody else good at that? I'm pretty good at it. I only want the ones that fit what I want, and I'll forget the rest of them, right? Or I only want to read it one certain way when maybe that's not exactly what it's saying. Maybe it's saying something that is narrower than I think, and it's not as broad as I think, or maybe it's saying something that's broader than I think, and it's actually narrower. This is one of those passages where it's actually saying something other than what it is often heard to say. No one comes to the Father except through me. What we hear in that is not no one comes to God except through me. This is really important. And some of y'all are like, you can say that, but I can because Paul said it too. Paul said, yeah, if you want to go out and venerate God in nature, that's fine. You can find God there. God's there, right? When Paul is arguing with the philosophical religious folks at Mars Hill at the Areopagus, it's an important passage in Acts. He's arguing with them and he's saying, yeah, okay, you guys have your religion. We get that, right? And if you want to know God through those things, you can know God through the veneration of trees. You can encounter God that way. But if you want to know the Father, that's different. If you want to enter into relationship, now you're talking about Jesus. That's one of the things that we as people of faith get to claim as exclusivity. Right? That's the exclusivity clause in our contract, is we as people of faith who follow Jesus, who have entered into relationship through Jesus Christ, there is something that is specific and unique about what Jesus offers that is unlike what any other faith will offer. Now, our problem sometimes is not getting up on our high horse and thinking because we have that special relationship that we're better than other people, right? This sermon's a lot longer online, so if you want to hear the rest of it, you should go online and listen. But one of the stories I think that's really important in this context is extremely important is a story about Dennis and Fran, if you don't know. And I'm going to probably butcher the story, but I've heard y'all tell it a couple times.
You'll correct.
Okay, correct me, Dennis. I know he will. He's an
Hey, just make up something about me. I don't care.
So Dennis and Fran one time are coming home from a bar at like 3 in the morning, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
and they see on the sign of Trinity down the road, Cappuccino and Christ. And Dennis, with hair down to his behind and a sleeveless shirt and tattoos, walks into this this place where he is going there, and I love it. He openly says, I was going there to make fun of that service. He was going there to make fun of the people in the cheesy Christianity, right? And lo and behold, yeah, there's probably some of that there, but that's not what caught them, right? The people accepted them and said, come on in, we welcome you. We're not going to judge you because you're not one of us. We're not going to throw a bunch of questions at you to find out if you belong. Our circle doesn't have to be that narrow. We're just going to see you as a person who needs a relationship with the Father. I wonder if we can be that kind of community. Well, I know we can. I know we are. Right? How do we embrace? How do we lean into it? How do we maintain that exclusivity of a relationship with the Father without casting aside the rest of the world and saying, y'all are just dumb, y'all are just ignorant, you don't get it. How do we include them? How do we welcome them? How do we take people who come off the street and then 13 years later they're standing in front of us with a congregation of people who love them, that they've led to Christ, that they have worshiped with and led into the presence of God, when they showed up, from religious traditions that told them all kinds of bad stuff, set them against God in some ways, against the Father that they were supposed to be called into. Here they are with us today. So, as we go forward from this place, we think about what it is in this exclusivity of Jesus Christ. No one comes to the Father except me. He is the way, the truth, and the life? How do we welcome people into that relationship so that they can maybe one day be standing on the stage leading others to Christ?
We've always tried to be that for everyone here that walks through the door. We try to greet how we were greeted
Yes, it made such an impact.
and love how we were loved. And if this song had been around back then, it would have been the perfect soundtrack for me, anyway. If you've been walking the same old road for miles and miles, if you've been hearing the same old voice tell the same old lies, if you're trying to fill the same old holes inside, well, there's a better life. There's a better life. If you got pain, he's a pain taker. If you feel lost, he's a way maker. If you need freedom, save him. He's a prison shaking savior. If you got chains, he's a chain breaker. We all search for the light of day and the dead of night. We all found ourselves worn out from the same old life. We all run to things we know that just ain't right. There's a better life. There's a better life. If you got pain, he's a pain taker. If you feel lost, he's a way maker. If you need freedom, save him. He's a prison shaking savior. If you got chains, he's a chain breaker. If you believe it, if you receive it, if you can feel it, somebody testify. If you believe it, if you receive it, if you can feel it, somebody testify, testify. If you believe it, if you receive it, if you can feel it, somebody testify, testify. If you got pain, he's a pain taker. If you feel lost,
great song to do that on. It's wonderful. Miss Cat sings that, and I love to sing with her. Just to play drums. So worship.
The first passage was Genesis, John 14, and this one is Fran's, Proverbs 3:3. My child, do not forget my teaching, but let your heart keep my commandments. For length of days and years of life and abundant welfare they will give you. Do not let loyalty and faithfulness forsake you. Bind them around your neck, write them on the tablet of your heart, so you will find favor and good repute in the sight of God and of people. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not rely on your own insight. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. These are readings from the Word of God for all of us, the people of God. If you will, say thanks be to God. Thanks be to God. Barry, go back to that previous slide there. Do not let loyalty and faithfulness forsake you. Bind them around your neck and write them on the tablet of your heart. Proverbs is a book that is dedicated to wisdom. And wisdom has a lot of different definitions. It has a lot of ways that there are nuances to it. And what is wise in one situation may not sometimes be wise in another situation. But it's kind of one of those things like you know it when you see it, right? I know wisdom when I hear it. I know wise sayings when I hear them. I can identify them. So throughout the book of Proverbs, the whole point of the book of Proverbs is the author is speaking as a parent to a child, in this case a father to a son, and it's just dropping little nuggets of wisdom all the time to their kids, right? How many of you as kids hated that when your parents did that? How many of you as parents, when you became parents, do that to your kids all the time? Right? It's how we function, because we're just hoping something sticks. So we're going to give you every bit of wisdom that we can. And it may be like throwing darts at the dartboard and some of them hit and some of them don't. But we're going to keep dropping those things. And that's basically what the book of Proverbs is. It is a spiritual father, a spiritual parent, who is trying to help his son come into a faithful existence, come into a faithful life, to walk in the light of the Lord. So that's what it is. It's about life lessons. It's about wise sayings that we need to incorporate into our lives. And there's this incredibly important lesson here, I think, in the beginning of Proverbs 3. He identifies two characteristics that he wants the son to never be without: love and faithfulness. Love and faithfulness. What's so important about love? I mean, it's all over the place in the Bible. What's so important about faithfulness? Well, I think if we had to boil a lot of God's essence down, this is what it would come down to: love and faithfulness. Right? So if we're supposed to be people who emulate God in our world, then we need to emulate love and faithfulness, and we need to incorporate them in every way that we can into our lives, so that when people experience us, they might experience a little bit of God. So both of these will cause us to do things, and here's where I think it gets down to the brass tacks. Love and faithfulness, both of them will cause us to do things for someone else, someone other than ourselves, that we would never do if we authentically cared about ourselves first. Love is, by definition, something that is directed towards somebody else and will cause me to do things that I would not normally do if I were only concerned about myself. Faithfulness will cause me to direct my attention and my commitment towards something outside of myself, so that I will act in ways as if that faithfulness is more important than just the things that I want to do. Right? So you can go to the, here's where it gets to the crux, right? And the Father continues to say, bind them around your neck, write them on the tablet of your heart. Right? These identifying characteristics of faithful people, of godly people, you will have love and faithfulness at the core of your being. Bind them around your neck, write them on the tablet of your heart. You know, I can go to the jewelry store, and there's all kinds of like really pretty jewelry that says love, and I can wear a nice necklace that says love, right? I can bind it around my neck. I can wear something that identifies me as a faithful person, right? Like a ring, and the reason why we wear the thing. You say, hey, this one's taken, right? Or it says, hey, I'm not in this for anybody else. I got one person, and that's what this is for, right? So there's faithfulness that identifies us by what we wear. But the Father, the parent, says, but that's not good enough. I don't want you to just put stuff on your body that says to the world, hey, this person is a person of love. Hey, this person is a person of faithfulness. It says, I actually want it deeper than that. I want it written on the tablet of your heart. So I can go buy jewelry and put it on me, right? I mean, we've seen rock stars and rappers who wear crosses bigger than the one Jesus was crucified on, right? It doesn't mean anything just to have a cross around your neck. But when it's written on your heart, and the outside, what you're portraying to the world, matches what's inside, now we are in the realm of wisdom. Bind them around your neck, write them on the tablet of your heart. It's not just about, hey, these things are important. It's here's how you have to incorporate them into your life. That is the mark of a godly person. to have your outside and your inside as one. There's one person who is called the great deceiver in the scriptures. Do you know who that is? Satan, right? Yeah, good answer. That's the Sunday school answer. I threw that one like a softball question. Okay. If we have deception as a disconnect between what we portray to the world and what's actually in our hearts, then whose kingdom are we participating in? The Father, who would give of himself because of his love for us? The Son, who would allow himself to be crucified because of his commitment and loyalty to us? Or are we participating in the realm of Satan, who is the deceiver, who desires for there to be a disconnect between the things that we say and who we are? So as we think about this passage, this is a tough passage. Like, it's a good one, and it seems really simple, right? But it's an important one. It holds such an essential lesson for we as people of faith who need to embrace, okay, how do I make what I portray to the world match what's on the tablet of my heart? Amen.
Holy, holy is he.
Well, I'm going to sing one more for you. And
You might want to sit down.
you might want to sit down for this. Well, probably a lot of you know this. I heard this song about 5 years ago, I guess it was, 5 or 6 years ago, at a Bellamy Brothers concert. This is what they ended the show with. I had no idea that they had just come out with a gospel record. Didn't know they did gospel records, but they finished the show with this. And I think for my last song at Alder's Gate to sing for you all, I can't think honestly of a better song that's more fitting and speaking of how I feel and going forward, wherever God takes us. Remind you can still look at our Facebook and YouTube pages. 3xGrace is carrying on. We're going to be carrying on, so you keep up with us because we're going to keep keeping up with you and keeping on. And we love you. And take these words if you would. When I'm out there in a storm, pray for me. When the cold won't keep me warm, pray for me. When I'm tossed across the ocean, if you get the notion to be my special angel and pray for me. Oh, and in my darkest hour, pray for me. Like the rain falls on the flower, pray for me. I know the Lord, He does renew when the right words come from you. He will surely listen, pray for me. I'm just an old lost soul, it seems, pray for me. Hoping to be redeemed, pray for me. I'm just a pilgrim who strayed, with so much debt to pay. So when I pass your way, please pray for me.
We thought this would be a fantastic one to end on. James is singing one, probably not the one y'all are thinking about.
You guys have given us a lot of smiles, and I want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody up here, especially the newlyweds, for being answered prayers to me a few years ago now. It's been a while, but they've been answered prayers to me, and can't tell you how much I love them, and wish I could adopt them, but they're married, so that would be weird. But, no, I love them, and Jay, I appreciate Jay. Thanks so much, Jay. Thanks to Tim. And thanks to Barry and Cliff in the back. Proud us up today. Very appreciate that too. Thanks very much. Nicely done. Nicely done.
And thanks to all of you who have come out and support us today. We know this was unusual because we tried to start back and we shut down, and it was, I'm just overcome with just feeling blessed that you guys have showed up, and some of you that we haven't seen in years. It's just lovely to see you today.
Yeah, we love you, and this is the last song, and we won't say any more after this. So when this is over with, we look forward to saying hi and getting one last hug and whatever from you. So, but we love you, and we'd like to leave you with this smile. Okay. You want this? You asked for